Dear President and Vice Presidents, dear former President, dear members of the CCBE Romanian delegation, dear colleagues, I would like to warmly thank President Briciu for inviting me to address some opening remarks at the General Assembly of the National Association of Romanian Bars. The Council of Bars and Law Societies of Europe, which I have the privilege to serve as president, is very grateful for the active and valuable contribution brought by the Romanian delegation. I would like to particularly thank Mr. Călin Andrei Samfirescu, the head of the Romanian delegation, and Mr. Constantin Parasco, who serves as information officer and also as vice chair of the CCBE PICO committee. The theme of your General Assembly this year is the defense of the defenders. In this short video, I would like to briefly highlight the type of attacks faced by the legal profession, as well as the main CCBE actions to address this issue. Lawyers are the embodiment of human rights as one of the main guarantors of citizens' fundamental rights and freedoms. For the same reason, the legal profession can come under considerable pressure from the executive and legislative powers, as well as sometimes the judiciary and non-state actors. Harassment, threats, imprisonments, surveillance, hindrances, and even murders against members of the legal profession continue to occur all over the world, and such attacks occur also in Europe. Let me give you some examples. Last year in Bulgaria, criminal proceedings had commenced against several lawyers who are believed to be identified with their clients' cause. In Hungary, although there are no general system-wide problems, nor extraordinary actions against lawyers, the Hungarian Bar Association had to strongly protest against bad press communications against lawyers. These communications had been initiated by the authorities as a way to influence the judiciary, who are dealing with the cases which the lawyers present. In Poland, recent worrisome developments were notably reported in relation to the detention and prosecution of lawyer Roman Giertych. Clear breaches of the lawyer's professional secrecy have been reported, and it is believed that the charges against him are related to his work as a lawyer in politically sensitive cases. I need not elaborate on the well-known situation in Turkey. Since July 2016, more than 400 lawyers have been sentenced to long prison terms, the average prison term being 7 years. Here in Romania, concerns were recently raised over a number of issues pertaining to the respect of the rule of law, including the right to a fair trial, professional secrecy, and the issue of identification of lawyers with their clients' cause. As you are aware, CCBE supported the Romanian legal profession by sending a letter to the Romanian Minister of Justice where we raised these important issues. What is the CCBE doing for the defense of the defenders? When a lawyer is a victim of human rights violations, the CCBE alerts the relevant national authorities and their embassies in Brussels, as well as key actors at the European Union, the Council of Europe, and United Nations. We send letters where we describe the situation of a certain lawyer and ask the respective authorities to stop the allegedly illegal treatment of the colleague. Thus, the CCBE ensures that attacks on the legal profession are brought to light and that the respective public authorities have to face public criticism for their behavior. To give you some figures, between 2010 and 2020, the CCBE sent more than 500 letters in support of endangered lawyers in 85 countries around the world, including Europe. Since the beginning of my presidency in 2021, and this is less than 6 months, I have already signed 44 letters related to 18 countries. And these letters do not cover all the cases where the legal profession is threatened. Between 2010 and 2020, approximately 2,500 lawyers have been murdered, arrested, or threatened in the exercise of their legitimate activities as lawyers. For that reason, the CCBE also takes or joins additional initiatives in cooperation with other national and international lawyers organizations, as well as human rights NGOs, in order to promote and to protect the role of lawyers. In this context, it is also important that the CCBE actively supports the work of the Council of Europe towards a binding European Convention on the profession of lawyer. The CCBE strongly believes that such a specific instrument is needed to create the necessary conditions for effective accountability of states and non-state actors. A binding legal instrument would not only serve to protect lawyers themselves, but would also enable them to take cases to court with regard to the exercise of their profession in independence, freedom and security. Meanwhile, the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe adopted a feasibility study on a new binding or non-binding European legal instrument on the profession of lawyer, and they approved terms of reference for a committee of experts which has been tasked to draw up a European legal instrument on the profession of lawyer. The Council of Europe will now have to adopt a budget for this committee of experts, and then the committee will start its work in January 2022. The CCBE, as well as other lawyers' organizations, will be invited to the committee as a guest, and I very much hope that the work will continue to progress rapidly and end with a recommendation for a binding instrument of a convention. To conclude, the CCBE will continue to put all its strength and determination into ensuring that all lawyers are able to carry out their professional duties without fear of reprisal, hindrance, intimidation, or harassment, in order to preserve the independence and integrity of the administration of justice and the rule of law. I wish you a very fruitful meeting.